Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy vicslanghope. And I got another video. And this one is about some history. You know, it's Black History Month. So I just wanted to educate a little bit and go over some things. So hopefully y'all watch the video because I want to hear from y'all at the end. I want to hear, some of y'all thoughts. And that's how we learn, right? We bounce ideas of each other. You know, you correct me, I correct you, or we just talk about certain things. So anyway, first thing I want to say is slavery has always been around. It's been around from the beginning of time. And it's not nothing new to different societies, right, and different peoples, and it's still here, right? It's still around. So I just wanted to start off with that. It might not have been as brutal as American slavery or slavery in the Americas, but it has always been around. It's nothing new, right? America still has slavery to an extent, right? Because the 13th Amendment did not abolish slavery. All it said was you cannot be forced into involuntary servitude unless you are convicted of a crime. Now, what happens when you go to prison? You get forced to work. You have to work. They pay you cents of the hour, right? They don't pay you enough, right, for the things that you're making. People be making soap. They make license plates. They make clothes, right? Victoria's Secret lingerie gets made in a prison, right, or some other things. So a lot of things get made in prison. But anyway, so and right after slavery was so-called abolished, they created a lot of laws, vagrancy laws, right? Like loitering, trespassing. If you didn't have a job, you was going to jail, right? So this way, they put black people right back in slavery, right? Put them in a cage, because they was loitering and they was doing certain things. You just freed a whole bunch of people that don't have property, right? So if you wasn't sharecropping, you have to figure out what you was going to do, right? So it was easy to fall into those tricks, right? And they still kind of use these tricks today, right? Loitering, trespassing, etc., etc. But let me go into the historical aspects of it, right? Because I be trying to tell people that in the beginning, when white people were enslaving black people, it was not about, first of all, they wasn't black. They were Africans. When they was enslaving Africans, it was not solely because they didn't like dark-skinned people. I be trying to tell this to people all the time. It's not because you were dark. And I'm going to get into that if you are willing to stay here to learn something. So let me go to the 1400s. What was going on in the 1400s in the world? The 1400s are very, very important in history, period. So I encourage y'all to look into some things. I'm going to share some things with y'all, and y'all can always research this stuff on your own. So in the 1400s, which is the Dark Ages, right? The white people renamed this the Dark Ages because they didn't want people viewing Europe or having anything attached to Europe or whiteness in a bad way, right? And again, they was not white back then. They was just Europeans. So the European people changed the name of Dark Ages to like Middle Ages because they didn't want nothing bad associated with whiteness. Boom. 1400s, 1453 to be exact. What was going on in 1453? In 1453, Christianity was already at war with the Muslims, with the Islamic State, right? They was already at war. They was losing territory. They was getting spanked by the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? So they lost a lot of their territory. So Europe is not only losing territory, Christianity or the Roman Empire is not really just losing territory. They are also in a land that doesn't really cultivate a lot of things. A lot of things do not grow in Europe. A lot of natural resources are not there. So they are struggling, right? The Roman Empire is struggling. We're losing land and we need stuff to survive. So what they did was, if you realize most of the places that these people went to were places that produced things that they could take stuff from, right? That either had good fertile land, either had gold or natural metals and resources and a whole bunch of stuff, right? And back then, people wasn't really with the metals and but there was, but not to the extent that we are today, right? Extracting precious metals out the earth and certain things. Today we're a little more sophisticated in how we extract things from the earth. So anyway, in 1453, the Pope issued a decree, and it's called the Dum Diversas. You can look this up. Pope Nicholas V issued a decree, right, for the Christian world. And he told the Christian world that all Christians had the right to persecute non-Christians and to commit them to perpetual servitude. This is what the Pope said in Christianity. He said all Christians had the right to persecute non-Christians, pagans, and to commit them to perpetual servitude. And the first people who left Spain is what's known as Portugal today, right? This is like the first people. And it's very interesting because there was already Muslims in Spain. But at this point, the Muslims already had became weak and fragmented. They wasn't running the whole Spain. They had split up into different subdivisions throughout Spain. So this is why these people were able to do certain things, right? Because they had the Muslims fragmented in Spain. Okay, that happened in 1453. So that in 1453, around that time, Constantinople also fell, right? Which is modern day Istanbul in Turkey, right? That was the capital. That was one of the capitals of the Roman Empire, right? In Christianity. So that also happened. They lost that city. That was a big thing for them. Okay. In 1493, Columbus finds the Americas. 92, 93. Around the same time, all the Muslims got expelled. They got expelled from Spain. All the Muslims. And I say Muslims, not Moors, not black people. It was a mixed group of Muslims that were in Spain. But remember, race is not real. It's socially constructed. It was made in the 1600s in America. It's an American thing that spread globally. This is why race is not that big of a thing, not like in America, in other places. A lot of times when Americans travel to other places, people look at you as an American. You know what I'm saying? They say, oh, you're American, right? Race, I'm not saying that it's not racism in other places. I'm saying it's not as big, as bad as is here in America. James Baldwin said this. This is why he went to France for a few years. And he said he had the most peace when he went to France. Because there's a little racism, but it don't look the same like here. So anyway, race is made up, right? Allah says in the Quran, this is not a Muslim video, by the way, but it's, history kind of like intertwines with some type of historical Muslim effects. Muslim facts, right? Allah says in the Quran, O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know one another. This is what it's about. There's no such thing as race. It's only nations and tribes. And this is why people feel some type of way when you try to tell them that they're black. Because people understand that black is a culture. It's almost like a tribe in a certain sense. Blackness is a culture, is a tribe in itself. It's a tribe of people who don't really know who they are. And they was called black. Black and white was a thing that was created here in America. The process of race, the concept of race by color of your skin or hair texture or whatever characteristics was something that was created in America. I need y'all to understand that. You can look this shit up. You can look this shit up. Before that, people belonged to nations and tribes. So this is, when you tell a Dominican that he's black, you know what I'm saying? When you tell an African that he's black, or some of these people that know, maybe they belong to a certain tribe now, right? Whatever, they belong to a certain culture. When you're trying to tell them that they are black, a lot of times people look at that like you're telling them they belong to your culture. You, the American black, Negro. They feel like you're telling them they belong to your culture. Like you're stripping them of their culture and telling them you're black. So a lot of times people fight back the idea that I belong to your culture. Because a lot of times people know you don't really know where you're from. You don't really have, or they view black culture as destructive, or they view black culture as a bastard culture, or they view whatever, right? So the point is, people belong to nations and tribes. And unfortunately, the black people in America do not know what nation or tribe they belonged to. And I think that's the main issue. Boom. So back to slavery, right? So when the Pope issued this decree and the people started going out, right? Africa was known as a pagan continent. It was known as people that either worship multiple gods or they was believing in some whole other stuff. Indigenous people were known in the same manner, right? They was known as, oh, you believe in multiple gods, you're a polytheist, or you're a pagan. This is how they view these people. So not only were they looking for resources, but they also was looking to subdue people based on a religious idea. So this, I want y'all to understand this. We want to be on the same page. They left, you know what I'm saying? Desperation made them leave their lands looking for more land because they needed resources, and people are the biggest resources that there is, by the way. But they was looking for resources, right? Which is land and people and goods, right? So they're fighting a war that they've been fighting for centuries already with the Muslims. So boom, follow me. So when they started to, so this is what I'm trying to get to. A lot of people sit here, a lot of black people sit here and blame the European people for slavery. They blame the Arabs, predominantly for the enslavement of Africans that reside here in America, right? The descendants, African Americans. They blame these people, but slavery has always been around. When you read the Bible and you read about the children of Israel, right? People have always had slaves, right? The Bible does not condemn slavery. The Quran does not condemn slavery. But slaves have rights in Islam. I don't know so much about the Bible and their slavery, but slaves have rights. They're not supposed to be, it's not the slavery that you think of when you think about American slavery. Let me just clear that up. But in Islam, there is slavery. The same way that there was slavery in Africa. Because again, Allah created us and made us nations and tribes. So tribes been banging on each other back home. Way before the European man got there, people be like to feed the story that Africans was not beefing with each other. Like they was living in harmony. Everything was good and gravy. No problems. No. People have always been in conflict. People been fighting against each other for as long as you can remember. You could go look at the history. People been fighting against each other for forever. Forever. You can look this shit up. So tribes in Africa would enslave others. They would fight wars and they would take captives. This was a normal thing that been happening in history forever. After fighting wars, people don't take booty. They used to call it the booty, the spoils of war. They either take over your land, or they take some of your women captive, or they take some of your men and sell them. This has been a concept that's been going on. So boom, my next point. When African people were, if you really read about the story of Shaka Zulu, the Zulu nation was banging on other tribes, on other nations, right? Again, nations and tribes. And some of them beefed with each other. Some of them popped on each other. Some of them did what they did to each other. So when people started buying slaves from Africa, you know what I'm saying? And it became a lucrative business, some of the stronger tribes subdued weaker tribes. This is just common sense. Well, not really common, right? But this is some of the shit that was happening. Like, it was not this peaceful kumbaya place that we try to make it seem like it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? People fought wars. People fought against tribes. They still doing that shit now. We can't just blame the white man and say the white man is the reason why tribes are warring with each other. He might be some of the reason today, but that shit always been going on. So I don't want to make this video too long. So look, when the business of selling slaves became lucrative, and some of these people started to make business with Arabs, with the white man, or with anybody else that used to come over there to get some slaves, right? When they realized there was trading, right? At first, it wasn't even really no money back then, right? They was trading, you know what I'm saying? So maybe there was gold, there was precious metals, but at the end of the day, you're trading. So when European people are coming, they're trading for slaves, right? And this is becoming a lucrative business. You want to have more slaves available, right? So what do? If I'm part of my tribe, I'm not looking at you like you're my brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking at you like you're my sister. I'm looking at you like I'm gonna get this money. So if we beef and I happen to have slaves, but now that the slave system is booming, and I'm all right, I might start invading more tribes more frequently because it's booming, it's lucrative. And this is the history that a lot of people miss out on. Africans were selling Africans. I don't care how much you want to sit here and say, oh, but it wasn't the same way. They didn't look. The point is, they did not care. You think if I just banged on your tribe, if I just went to your area, banged on your tribe, capture some other African people who are not part of my nation on my tribe, you think I care what happens to you? You think I'm worried about what's gonna happen to you, what they're gonna do with you? I don't care. I just literally went over there, confiscated you, locked you up. Africans were helping European people the same way the indigenous people here in America was helping white pilgrims survive and hunt and do all of those things. That's the same way Africans was helping these other people, enslaved people. Come on, we gotta be real. We gotta be real to ourselves. If you think they just showed up and just started wilding on Africans, and no, that's not what happened. I think what happened was business went bad. Business went bad. White people didn't have a lot of shit to trade at some point because they didn't really have no natural resources like that. And I think what they did was they robbed the plug. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? How y'all be talking about run away with the pack and rob the plug? That's what they did. And started off as business, and then they say, you know what? We're not even going to pay for these slaves no more. And then they started taking people. Because you can't do nothing. They got the guns. Africans thought that was a coward thing, to fight with weapons, to shoot from afar, right? They thought that was some coward shit. They like hand-to-hand combat, and that shit cost a lot of people, right? So business went bad, and now European people started taking at will what they wanted. So I say that to say that I feel like the beginning of all of those stuff going on, it was business, because slavery has always been like a little business. People have always been buying slaves. They always been capturing people. They always been doing these things. So when we understand history like that, we tend to understand why it was not that big of a deal. Africans today, a lot of Africans don't even feel like slavery was a big of a deal, because they understand that, yo, this shit has been going on. This was like regular, normal, traditional shit. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that slavery was not brutal and that it was okay in the Americas. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, oh, anywhere in the world, right? It could have been brutal anywhere in the world. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this. That shit been going on. It was a business. It was lucrative. Kind of like today, it's still a business, right? People go to prison and they make all these type of goods. They're slaves. They go to prison, make all these type of goods, and people buy them on the outside world for a higher, way higher price, right? It's almost like sharecropping. You know, so I just wanted to say that. My whole point was to get y'all in the habit of, like, I know a lot of people like to blame. We like to just put the blame. It feels good to blame somebody outside of yourself. We can always do that blame. Most of us, when we have issues, the defects that we need to fix, we don't like blaming ourselves. We don't like holding ourselves accountable. So all I'm trying to say about this is that all of these people are to blame, right? If we want to blame somebody, you got to blame the Africans too, that were invading different tribes and different nations and were selling you off, you know what I'm saying? Making a little gain off of you, because they started the whole situation. So if we're going to blame people, you got to blame everybody that took part. Or at the same time, can we blame? We could blame, because of all the shit that happened in the Americas. We could definitely blame those people, right? But what I'm saying is, can we blame humanity for the concept of slavery when this is some shit that just been going on for a long time? And that's a whole nother conversation. So hopefully y'all benefited from the video. Hopefully it was very enlightening. You could look all this stuff up. You know, you can look it up. You can look it up. It's there. So I just wanted to tell people that the beginning of enslavement didn't really have nothing to do with the color of your skin. It was just the fact that African slaves, like Thomas Jefferson said, he said the African slave can work longer and do more, like more struggling work than the white slave, or the Indian. He said if we was to make, well, the white man, that's what this what Thomas Jefferson said. He said if we made the white man do half of the work that we made the African slave do, he said the white man would not survive half of a day. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. You know, it was more lucrative to have the African slave because he was stronger or more physically fit or more cut out, I guess, in the words of Thomas Jefferson, to do the job. So it was not necessarily a color thing, like I told you, because race was started in America in the 1680s, right? 1680s. So, and then it became a global thing. So remember, we nations and tribes, But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Am I bugging? Am I tripping? I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, let's have a dialogue. All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace.